we will just get talking and we will do our thing. So that'll be great. Hey, folks, welcome. I'm Sean Bavala. I am the publisher at the Small Tooth Dog Publishing Group, he, him, and I am delighted to be with you on this podcast, this video call this evening. And my guest, one of our authors, is Pamela Cannons Wagner. And she is producing the first book that she's produced with us, which is Hollis Saves Halloween. And we're excited to talk to you about that. I'm excited to talk to Pamela about some of her background and the unique POV point of view that she brings to the world. So Pamela, welcome to making this thing happen this evening. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good. Hey, listen, give us a little background on yourself. Tell us whatever it is you'd like to tell us about you. Introduce yourself to the peeps.
Well, hello, peeps.
Hi, peeps.
I am a first-time author. This is my first book, and I happen to love Halloween. Live in Tucson, Arizona, and I work for the university here. I have a husband and a service dog, and I just enjoy poetry and writing and fiction, and that's how Hollis came to be.
Very nice, very nice. Which university are you at, and what is your job at the university?
I am at the Wright University.
I'm hurt.
I've been with the University of Arizona for 15 years now, and I am an operations coordinator for a off-campus program that helps adults with mental health challenges.
That's fantastic. You do a lot of good in the community down there, so that's a good thing. Thanks for what you do and who you are. So you bring a unique perspective to this book. It's got some unique things in it. We'll get into the book in just a moment, but I think it would be helpful for people to hear a little bit about your childhood and some of growing up in the Midwest there. So if you want to talk a bit about your childhood and that unique point of view that you bring to this work, that would be great.
So I did, in fact, grow up in Southern Illinois in a very small town, about 9,000 people. One thing you would not know by seeing me here is that I am in a wheelchair. I have a rare bone disease called osteogenesis imperfecta. And basically that just means my bones break easier than normal bones. It also makes me shorter and all kinds of fun stuff. So when I was growing up in Southern Illinois, there was two other people in my hometown that were in wheelchairs, that were out in the public in wheelchairs, I should say. That was way before people were as easily moving around as they do now. Before the ADA Act.
Right.
In fact, yeah, I was in high school. A little funny side note. I was in high school when they were just starting to talk about the ADA, and I did one of my senior reports on it. So that tells you how far back we're not going to talk about. And but the restrooms, things like that, weren't accessible. Housing definitely wasn't accessible. There were steps and stairs all over the place. So what you'll find out is part of that translates over to Hollis, my Halloween javelina, because of accessibility issues.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Good to include that in. I think it's interesting that you bring up the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. You probably did some work with, is it Susie Human? Is that, she was the one that kind of led the way in Washington. It's interesting that you bring that up because some people forget that there was a time and a place where we were not thinking about accessibility, for example, and what a positive thing that is for the world. Do you have any thoughts or memories that come from the pre-ADA days from school? Did you have experiences in school that have helped form the way that maybe we look at Hollis?
Absolutely. My high school, again, it was a small high school. My father actually went there as well. He had the same bone disease as I did.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So when he was there, there was absolutely nothing as far as, getting up 2 flights of stairs or going to classes. And there was just no provisioning for that. So when it came down to the time that I was going to go to the same high school, he turned around and said, a couple of years out from when I was going to start, he started working with the school and the principal and saying, this isn't going to be this way for my daughter. She will be included. And so I'm blessed to have parents who are very strong advocates and had the foresight to see that these things needed to change. So we started working on it, and he actually did get a chairlift installed into the high school, which was it was actually like even the first one from Germany. There was some weirdness about that, but it was like a
Sure.
special chairlift.
Yeah.
But that was a big ordeal and an interesting experience to be on the stairs with all the other kids running around trying to get downstairs and do their thing and have fun. And
Right.
here I am in the middle of the stairs causing a traffic jam.
Right.
But again, there was some inclusion that was very hard fought for. And I believe that chairlift is still there today. They remodeled the high school, but hopefully they put an elevator in somewhere.
Yeah, and did better with that. You had some experience with art classes, trying to take art classes. What was that?
That was the only big downside, was the way our school was made, where I love art. I absolutely love doing art, and I've taken art for years and years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the art class was underneath the stairs, or underneath the stage of the auditorium. And there was just absolutely no way to make that accessible. It was just a narrow flight of stairs. So I ended up having to take my art class in another room away from all the art, which is a little weird to do. But I was lots of classes. For example, with the bone disease, I've broken over 100 bones in my life.
Wow.
So that would translate to a lot of time outside of classes. And so I would have a homebound teacher. And so a lot of my socialization, I looked forward to going to class and being in school because I could be around people that weren't my parents. It was my socialization time,
Sounds pretty normal.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I think in some ways, and I'm the parent of a special needs child. I think in some ways we've made great progress with the ADA. In some ways we haven't, and you certainly encounter that more than I do. Your physical presence encounters that. But yet we don't have progress. I remember in 1990s, one of the local schools here did the same thing in like 90. I want to say like 92, had to put in a chairlift for a woman with spina bifida. And this actually was a family that I knew and had worked with quite a bit. And so even in the 90s, it's like, oh, I guess we should have some way for people to get upstairs. So I think that's interesting. One of the things go ahead.
I'm sorry. One of the things that people don't think about too much either is just restrooms. Being able to go into a restroom and know that you can fit into the door. That's actually still today a very big issue. Or you can get in the door, you just can't close it behind you. That makes for some fun interactions. So yeah, there's lots of work has been done. I'm not saying that, but there's lots of work to do too. And it does definitely mess with, you talk about a preteen girl's sense of security and belonging and being able to go and do things. There's lots of work left to do.
Yeah, there certainly is work left to do. And I think in some way we highlight that in Hollis Saves Halloween, because I know that folks will say, and even folks that I've talked about the book have said, but why would we have a book about a child being ostracized, even if gently? Why would we have a book about that? Because that doesn't happen anymore. And I think it does happen. I know times when my own child has been excluded for being on the autism spectrum. And you talk about just now, right, that we still have problems with something as simple as have an accessible bathroom. And so I think that the Hollis book really touches that and supports that without being banging it in people's faces. So I think you did a really nice job on that. I really do. So let's talk a bit about Hollis. Let's talk about our lead character, Hollis, the Halloween Javelina. It's spelled Jav. People are going to say Javelin, but it's Javelina. Welcome to Arizona. And the book takes place in kind of a mystical, kind of Southwest desert Sonoran place, which is alternately kind of deserty and mountainy, and also has big buildings in it. So it's a lot like Tucson. It's a lot like Tucson. That in Tucson is kind of modern and yet still kind of casita style.
Mhm.
So it's there. How did this book come to you? What is such an interesting story, and Hollis having to kind of prove himself, thinks he has to prove himself. How did this story come to you?
Well, honestly, Hollis came to me in a dream. I can't get any blunter than that. He drove his little scooter up in the middle of this dream, and he was not going to be denied. And I had never even thought about writing a children's book, but I got up that morning, literally grabbed a piece of paper and started writing the poem. And it came out so quickly and so easily. It's like, there's something here. There's something I'm supposed to do more than just, get this out of my head. And the process of going through and learning about writing children's books and learning, even how to find a publisher, all of those things have been such a learning curve for me.
Yeah.
That I'm very thankful that Hollis has come into my life, because he's given me, even before the book comes out, he's given me so much. And he is just a character that he and his best friend Brennis, there's so many similarities of my friends and my past history that are wound into these guys. It's funny to watch, because my friends are even finding things that I'm not paying attention to. And one of my best friends, Brenda, there's a lot of similarities between her and Brennis, the bat.
Right.
And I hadn't really thought of it. It's just, he's Brennis. It's Brenda and it's Brennis. I never even thought about the names being similar, but that's how it's come about. And Hollis has got his own way of making things happen, and he kind of has my attitude in some ways, and it's made for an interesting process to watch it all come together and be special.
I think too, you illustrate what we think is really important at Small Tooth Dog Publishing, and that is author tenacity. And authors taking responsibility for what they want to do, because we still have people that are like, oh, you're going to publish my book and I'm going to be a famous author. No, you're not. Until you're ready to do the work. And the number of folks that just think they're going to turn a book over. I mean, we met at one of the Tucson Festival of Book events, and you just rolled right up to the table and said, I'm going to tell you about my book. I mean, and you've stuck with that and learned with that, and you've been in our training, you've been in our coaching, you've been connected. And I think from a publisher standpoint, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody who feels the work, who really wants to be part of that. And I think that tenacity is so critical in modern publishing right now. So, congratulations on that. Congratulations on staying with that, to making this thing work. So I think that's been a fantastic thing.
I was absolutely terrified approaching that booth and you at the beginning. That was so
really?
far out of my comfort zone. So I'm glad I did it. Okay.
Yeah, we as publishers know that, and I know that there are some publishers that are super aloof about it, and we're not. I want people to respect the process, but it's not like, oh, you have to kowtow because I'm a publisher. No, I'm not. I'm a human being, and I have to take the garbage out when we're done with this interview today. You know what I mean? So I live a life like everybody else does. But I think you came with that respect. You came ready to learn, and I think those things make a huge difference. So in this book, we've got Hollis and Brennis, which are the two main characters. Brennis is kind of unique and flashy, and they're very big in the world, and Hollis is a little more reserved on stuff. Can we talk a bit about where Hollis matches you? Hollis wears a leg brace, and it's featured in the book, but it's not like a big arrow points to it. Can we talk about Hollis and where you and Hollis are connected a bit?
With Hollis, it is. I'm more a sit back and watch kind of person until I feel
Mhm.
comfortable.
Yeah,
Hollis is very much that way.
yeah,
He also doesn't have a problem jumping in when he knows that he can be helpful. That's I think people who have to interact with the world differently sometimes have a special magic about them that makes them advantageous to others. You know, if you don't have to learn how to think around corners or how to get into a bathroom stall that you won't fit into, if you never have those reasons to learn those things, you won't. You know,
right.
and Hollis has had to learn some things. Hollis has been made fun of. Hollis loves Halloween, and I am absolutely that person. I
Yes, you
I
are.
I have an entire shelf at my work filled with fun hats, and I will wear them on any given day. It doesn't have to be even October. Um, and Hollis, I mean, he has his little Halloween stickers on his brace and his, scooter. And it's just something that makes his heart happy, and therefore it makes my heart happy as well.
Nice, nice. He has multiple costume changes in the book.
Yes, yes.
He's dressed as a cat at one point, and a firefighter, and
Mummy,
a wizard. I think we have him as at one point.
you
So
never
he's
know how you're going to see Hollis. He'll
yeah,
be around.
and Brennis does that too. Brennis changes a lot, and they've got different hats, and so it's a fun book to watch. It does one of those things with the artist Raisa Thomas. They did a great job making this book interesting looking. We want kids to go not just to look at the words, but also to really fall into the pictures. And I think we do that in this book. I'm very excited to have Raisa's work as part of this as well. I think there's some really important things there. So we're about halfway through, and I want to talk about kind of the meta or the bigger issue of this. What do you hope people take away from this book? Yes, it's a Halloween story. Yes, it's a cute story, but we're also talking about visibility and accessibility, involvement, inclusivity, all of those things. What do you hope families get from this book?
I would hope, and I won't, I'm saying this as a preface. I think most parents already see this. I hope that they are aware of what they see in how much determination and energy that their children with special needs have, that
Mm,
they can turn around. And I mean, you can't judge what it's taken somebody to get out of bed every morning. You know, there's times
mm,
if you're a 2-year-old with unlimited energy, that's different than an 80-year-old, and then you throw disabilities or special needs in,
mhm,
and
mhm.
it takes a lot some days. And yet you have people every day that get up and do this. And not only do it, but do it well and turn around and make the world better for others. So it makes it builds something. Tenacity, I think, is one of the words you used. It builds something within a person to constantly have to hone those challenges and those struggles and make them into a life. And the kids and like Hollis doesn't let it stop him. He gets down, don't get, he gets sad, he gets down. Brennis is there to help him feel better, but Hollis is still there fighting the good fight, as they should say.
Right.
And I would like for people who don't know that about people with special needs to realize that there's more there than someone in a wheelchair, or there's more to it than meets the eye, and that people can be even more valuable given the struggles that they've had to go through in their past.
Right.
I and with that though, the challenges that the adults have is letting the kid fail, and letting the kid have to go through grief, and there's a trade-off there, right? Like for example, with me, I could probably be walking,
Right.
but how many more bones would I have broken trying to learn? Yeah, so there's those are balances, but as someone had mentioned, I love this phrase, phantom barriers. That's not a real broken bone yet.
Mm-hmm.
So how far do you take that? How far do you let your kids grow up and be daredevils and stuff? I mean, my dad broke his leg getting out of a go-kart one time.
Wow.
He had crashed the go-kart, but he won the race. So where's that at? Right? So, but no, just recognizing that people with special needs are special in other ways too.
You and I, and kind of our last kind of question here, that at least on this part one that we'll do here, you and I have a aversion to words, because people will say, when you're a parent of a special needs child, oh, you're so brave, oh, you inspire us. And I know that you do not like. We've talked about this, and we accidentally put the word inspired into, and that was just an oversight, into one of the descriptions, and you were like, okay, this is the hill I'm going to die on, take that word out. Can you, as we kind of wrap up here, can you talk about that at all? Can you talk about I'll let you talk. What is it about inspired and inspiration that you struggle with and would like to see changed?
To me, people do inspiring things, but me being in a wheelchair and sitting and breathing is not necessarily one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here for other people to feel better about themselves,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
to do things to make themselves feel better. Another lady that has the same bone disease I do, her name is Stella Young. She did a TED Talk once. I strongly encourage you to look it up if you've never watched it. And she talks about inspiration and inspiration porn, those types of things.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't get an award just for living. Am I going to get an award for an amazing children's book? Maybe.
Yes,
but
you are.
I did something to get there,
Right.
and I might have done more somethings than people will ever know. The challenges that I go through are mine. They're not to share with anybody. And just knowing that I can help someone else, some other kid out there that loves Halloween, that feels bad about it, or feels like they shouldn't go out and be included or can't be. If I can get one more kid to smile and say, hey, I'm going to go save the world, then Hollis has more than made up for all of his beating me in the head during my dreams. So
Wow, those are some powerful thoughts about that. I do think that we see that transition literally in the pictures too. At one point, Hollis is on the scooter sitting back, and a little bit later, when he makes a decision to take an action in the book, and we won't talk about that, but he takes an action, and the artist has captured the change in the physicality of Hollis, how Hollis goes from here, to here. I'm going to make this happen. And one of the reasons we chose the cover design, we specifically did the cover design because it's Hollis taking action, zooming into that, being a part of the world and not hiding from it, and leaving Halloween stuff in its wake. So I just think that's really powerful stuff. We're going to do a part 2 on this, and so we'll pick up on there. I do want to just ask you kind of a quick wrap-up question here. Do you have any sense of what you hope to do? Will you be trying to do speaking? What do you think you might be doing with this book? We've got just a couple of minutes here. What do you think?
I definitely want to get out into the public, and I want to meet the kids. I want to be, be there for adults to ask questions. I like being out among people.
Mhm.
And I think I know myself when I was a kid, seeing other people with challenges doing things helped me to be brave.
Yeah,
And so if I can help do that for somebody else, I'm all
excellent.
there.
Very good. That's great. Good. There's some other questions I want to ask you, and we'll put that into a part 2 on this. But I'm Sean Bavala with the Small Tooth Dog Publishing Group, and I have been talking with Pamela Cannons Wagner, the author of Hollis Saves Halloween, to be released from Small Tooth Dog the first week of March or so. Be available in all the places that you would normally buy a book like that. You can certainly visit us at smalltoothdog.com. You can learn more about Pamela. You can learn more about where to find the book. And of course, any place that you would normally buy books, you can do it. We really encourage you to look at bookshop.org, which helps to support small independent bookstores as well. So you have some choices on that. Pamela, thank you for this. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being with us, and we'll pick up some more things in just a few moments. Okay,
Sounds great.
great.
Thank you.
Folks, thanks for watching, and we'll look for part 2 here, probably right connected with this interview as well. Thanks a lot. See you in a bit.